Hi, I'm Lisa Singer. I am the editorial director of Brand Insider at MediaPost, and this is Brand Insider BTS, where I get to pull back the curtain on some of the most influential women marketers today. And with me is Sarah Baker. She is the director of marketing strategy at Verizon. Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
No, I'm excited to have you. I was seeing your posts on LinkedIn, and that's what first got me. You were obviously connected to someone I was connected to. And so your post came up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to look at this woman. And I went, and then I'm so happy that you were up for doing this. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So, well, speaking of the post, let's just start there. You as a mom, you're a mom of two, but the two under two. So that's quite, I can't believe you look as put together as you do right now. So
Appreciate that.
that's right there. Kudos to you. But on your LinkedIn, you put a happy birthday to your son Charlie, and I want to read it so people know what was said. It's this past year has been a whirlwind. It's tested me in ways I never expected and rewarded me with the most profound moments of pure joy. I have experienced the classic range of conflicting emotions that go from WTF, what have we done? To I want 15 of these. And it's taught me so much more about strength and patience than I could imagine. And that's just part of it, but I loved it. I think that there's so many women out there who can completely relate. And of all, like with young kids or just other things going on or whatever it may be, the being torn between that, your career and what you need to do, and then what's home and what else you need to do personally. So for me, I want to get more specific to you. You said that you've learned so much. So what have you learned? What has it taught you?
I think I never really truly grasped how challenging it would be to juggle my career that I care so deeply about and was kind of a little bit of the center of my universe before becoming a mom and also being a mom. And the reality of it is that they're both jobs or careers, if you will, and they demand so much of me simultaneously. And I didn't expect how they would pull my heart in different directions, often at the same time in the same moment. So I've learned balance is a complete myth. No, working moms cannot have it all. And I think that there should be more narratives out there that are around that. Shonda Rhimes had a commencement speech a couple of years ago where she was like, if you're killing it at one thing, you're ultimately failing in another. And I don't think I would say it's that extreme for me, but I think it's learning that being present in the moment that you're in and kind of leaning in is helpful a little bit to the situation.
Yeah, well, so do you mean in the sense of when you're at home, you need to just be that
Yes.
focus for with the
All
kids,
in,
and then
all in.
maybe there's some things sliding at work, not anything huge, but that's going to happen, and vice versa. Maybe there's something happening at work, and you really need to. Do you have to sort of pick the biggest challenge, or maybe not challenge isn't the right word, but what's going on at that particular time? What's the one you need to really be a part of?
Right, exactly. And I think for me, I mean, my kids are always number one. So I try to say 5 to 7 off limit times for me, and stuff is going to come up, but I have to just take that time and lean in because I've spent, 7:30 to 5 at my job. And this is my time to be fully present in that moment. So I've tried to do a little bit of that.
Yeah, and in terms of so navigating, that's obviously one, setting these schedules. Is there anything else? Like what would be the tips to give someone who's really trying to not, I don't know if it's the word is like put everything in a box, like here you are and here, because there is overlap, I'm sure. But how do you make that work through your day to day, let's say?
Honestly, it's tough, and I haven't figured out the equation. But I would say that chaos has entered the chat, and I've accepted that, right? And it's like leaning into that a little bit. So the chaos of the morning rush, the frantic moment when daycare calls and you're in a meeting and your kid has a fever, or you driving home with both of your kids in the car, and your boss is calling and they're screaming. It's like part of the gig of having two gigs. And
Mhm.
so it's like, for me, it's navigating how I show up a little bit. It is it is kind of the emphasis of where I'm currently at with it, or my own journey, is that, okay, inevitably chaos is here. I can't plan out the mornings. I can't say for certain that 5 to 7 I'm going to be fully present, because I'm not going to set myself up for that failure. But I'm going to do my best to show up in a way that it allows for a little bit of an offset of the chaos, is that the moment can be chaotic, but I don't have to be or react chaotically. And so that's where I'm currently at with it.
Well, it almost even sounds like too, maybe letting a part of your world in. And I think a lot of us dealt with that actually going through COVID and then doing everything virtually as we are. And, there's noise, there's kids in the background, there's things. So are you maybe more before having kids, it was always, perfect Sarah, or, and you're representing yourself in a certain way. Whereas now, are you open to, you're going to maybe be the person with the kid screaming in the back, but you're still going to get that work done? Like, so is it sort of setting your, not standards, that's not the right way to do it, but sort of being more real and
Yeah.
not having to be that perfect image of what is expected?
That is honestly one of a huge goal of mine for this year, a little bit, is like letting more of that in. And my sister is someone she's a little bit older than I am, not by much, but she also has a career that she cares really deeply about, and is kick ass at it, to be honest. And her and I were talking the other day about how there's a lot of people at work who don't even know we were moms, and which kind of spurred the post, because she was visiting for my son's birthday, and we were talking about it. I'm like, I don't even think a lot of my coworkers even know I'm a mom. And the reaction that I got from the post was so crazy. Actually, I had so many people that I work with or have worked with who didn't know that about me. And I think it's getting a little bit more real, and that, yeah, like now maybe why I'm off camera during that meeting, it might make sense, because
Right.
my toddler is home from school. So yeah, I think it is bringing more of that in, to be like, this is part of my life and this is part of who I am.
And it's okay. We don't, I mean, I think women especially, we have to be perfect or at least come across that way. And maybe it's, as you say, the chaos. Maybe it's actually a good thing to let some of the chaos in, because then maybe others who work with you or who are, work under you are going to say, I can do that too, and just, it opens it up for everyone.
I hope
So
I set that example, yes, for folks that work with me, but also for my kids one day,
mm,
to say that, like, hey, like, it was really tough at times, but mom did it. And she kind of figured it out, and figured out how to just roll with it. So
yeah, no, I think that's great. I really do. Now I can picture you with with maybe Cheerios in your hair and having a call with the president or something like that. But well, it's when I want to ask about when you were first starting out and just your career trajectory. You started on the agency side before then crossing over to Verizon. So let's go even back further, graduating. What were you envisioning for yourself? Like what type were you envisioning this kind of career, and talk about then your path to getting here?
yeah, I was not envisioning this career at all, to be honest. I kind of stumbled upon it, and my path was anything but kind of the traditional path into marketing. I was a straight A overachieving student in high school, and I had initially set my sights on pre-med. I'm still, super fascinated by medicine and that life, but when I came into college, it was almost this like, oh, you've got all of these other distractions, and maybe take a step back from being this like overachiever straight A student. And so I also learned that chemistry and I did not have chemistry. And so that kind of weeded me out of that program. But I ended up switching my major to psychology. And that was the easiest path towards graduation. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to check the box here. And I'm the type of person that if I don't see the long term of why am I doing something, I'm probably not going to dedicate that much time or much of my energy towards it. So I was a little lost then, of just being like, okay, I have this like psychology background. What am I going to do? And my dad had a friend who ran an advertising agency in Maine, and he was the president of the agency. And he was like, come be an intern. It's kind of a whatever gig. We're not going to pay you, but show up. And he was an actually amazing mentor. Like looking back, he would be laughing if I was telling the story, but he brought me to every discussion, every client pitch, client lunches that he had, executive meetings, earnings calls, like everything that he could. I was his little sidekick. Like he just brought me along with him. And, I learned about the connection and between psychology and marketing, which was really cool for me to be like, like it clicks a little bit. Like I can actually use this for my career. But I think more importantly, it gave me a little bit of confidence. And, I think you just have to have one person out there that believes in you to get there a little bit. And because of that, it literally changed the entire trajectory of what I was going to do with my life, because I came out of college and I was like, I want to do advertising. I need to find an agency. I've got to get back here and lean into that a little bit. But just having a seat at the table, being so young, not really knowing anything, and having that opportunity is something that I do try to take in my leadership style today. And man, if you can just believe in someone and give them that confidence, it can go such a long way and truly change the path of what they're going to do. And so it was a really impactful, kind of profound way that I stumbled into this career.
Well, I think, and it's funny because I did notice you have a degree in psychology, and I was wondering, because I completely think that marketing and psychology, obviously, you need to understand the consumer. You need to understand your audience. So that plays a huge role. But I'm curious in terms of this person who really believed in you and he showed you everything. Do you feel like because he happened to be marketing and advertising and that's where you were drawn to because of that? Or did you feel sort of that connection also while doing that? Or did that grow?
I think it grew over time for sure. So to this day, and folks will tell you that who I work with is that I'm obsessed with consumer research. And, I've spent some time in my career doing like data and analytics for marketing, and some time, managing our research program. And to this day, those are so important to me when I launch a campaign. So I do think that connection point was really the catalyst to getting here.
Yeah. No, and you talked a little bit about you wanted to be that person maybe to someone, if to be that, to believe in someone and help them get that kind of confidence. Talk about like if someone just starting out wanting to say be you, like how would you sort of direct that woman or man just in terms of navigating, because as you said, yours was not the traditional path initially. What would
Right.
you say to that person starting out?
I would say to figure out kind of what you're passionate about. If you are pursuing a degree that you are not passionate about, I think there are still some components of what you're doing that you like. And you might not like studying, nobody does, but what is it? Are you like, what are the tests that you're acing? Are you acing the tests on research? Are you acing the tests on data and math? And then explore that a little bit. Like, if it's coming really naturally to you and you want to know more about it, explore it. It doesn't have to be within your specific path. And then I think it's also just asking for opportunities that get you exposure to listening. And being an active listener so early in your career can have a profound impact because you hear the language and the terminologies. My dad was in finance in big banks, my whole life. And I remember being in the car with him really young and hearing a lot of the business language and all of that. And that taught me a lot, so just be an active listener. And, even if you're not pursuing a degree or a career that you're passionate about, find the things that you like in that, because inevitably there are going to be some things that you're good at and that you really like. So
Yeah, well, I think even you saying explore, I mean, it sounds, even you did that with this man, it took you from one meeting to the next. Some was about money, some or about, strategy, I'm sure, whatever. So, and then you kind of, by exploring all those, you see maybe that's not right for me and that is right for me. So
exactly.
I think that's totally makes sense. So I'm curious, tell me one thing that most people would get wrong about you. And we know they didn't know you were a mother initially, but aside from that, maybe when they meet you, there's an assumption made and then they're sort of surprised later on.
Yeah. I've heard I can be direct or even intimidating, which I think a lot of people who are in, a lot of women who are in leadership roles probably have heard similar things. I think the reality of it is that I care deeply about the work that I do, and I'm actually incredibly sensitive to what others think of me. And so when I believe in something, I push super hard. And it's because I want it to be great. And it's because there's a passion for it to be great. And I know it can be great. And so that drive can really only come from a place of commitment and non confrontation. So, my passion, if it's misread for intensity, I hope people see the heart behind it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think sometimes I think this might be from parents. We think it too, like they push us to certain things and we feel like they're being negative, or you know what I mean? Like you can kind of have that, but like if you really, when you look back on it, you're like, oh, that all came from love, so it's just a way to kind of show, this, I know you can do it, more like that kind of thing. Like it's more of a pat on the back kind of thing.
Mhm.
So do they come up? I'm curious. Do people see like kind of later you find out that they get it now?
Yeah, I do. I do. And I think it's also I've learned a lot in it too of that there are certain people that are uh a little bit more open to that sort of approach, and there are certain people that you might not be able to be as direct with, or you have to tailor your approach. So I think it goes both ways, right? Like I've learned that, of the people that I manage or the people that work with me, I've learned how to tailor my approach too. And so I think it's kind of a 360 evolution.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so I think this is cool. Are you Total Wireless?
Yes.
Your brands. You had a partnership with Amanda Serrano. Am I saying her last name right? Serrano?
Yep,
Yes.
you are.
A Puerto Rican boxing champ. And one of the campaign, or what you did, was she had never owned a cell phone before. She was always too busy. She didn't want it to distract her from her working out and getting ready. So I thought that was obviously very unusual for anyone nowadays to not have a cell phone. And then basically what you guys did is gave her a cell phone. So that was part of the campaign, which is very cute. I think that's a good idea. So I want to ask you, was there anything you were late to the game for? Like anything that everyone was sort of having, or any channel people, or any show they were watching, or whatever it may be, something that was everyone's talking about or doing, but you were late to the game, or maybe just still never got into the game?
Yes. I'm not a car person. And part of it is because I don't find owning the latest, luxury model or whatever, cool. But I also am a terrible driver. So there's that part of the equation too. So it's really like I've never owned a luxury car, and it's probably I never will probably, and it's more of a functionality for me than anything. It's like, how do I get from point A to point B with efficient mileage and safely.
Mhm.
And so I've never really understood, the big car thing. And I remember when I was 16, my cars were getting BMWs or whatever, like big luxury cars for their sweet 16s. And my dad was always never a car guy either. And I think I inherited that from him, but I probably would have told you I was really annoyed about it back then. But now I'm kind of leaning into it a little bit. And I kind of look at tech products like this too, in terms of their functionality. And so I think for Amanda Serrano, I can relate to that, not having a phone until you're really like, it needs to serve a functional purpose in your life of what's the value it's bringing. And so what Total was able to do is give the customer the best and fastest possible connection at the best price possible. And I think that is really cool. And so, it's spot on with our customer and our consumer, and I can relate to it. Is like it's functional. You want it to be
Yeah.
functional, and you want it to be quality.
No, I completely agree. I like went kicking and screaming for everything almost, for a phone, Until then, I needed one because I moved around a lot, and so I wanted consistency. iPad until I needed it for work. Like all of these different things, I was just like, no, why do I need none of this? Why do I want people to get in touch with me all the time? Like it was, I was definitely one of those as well. So I completely understand. So all right, so we talked about your career and in how you know, so your sort of the path, what directed you where you are. But has there been a challenge or maybe a failure or something that impacted you negatively or seemed so horrible, but then you got through it and learned from it and actually brought you maybe to somewhere better?
Yeah, I would say probably early agency days. I mean, anyone who's been on the agency side, first gig out of college knows what I'm talking about. It's a lot of grind, it's a lot of late hours. You're expected to do, the brunt of the work. And it's low pay. It's not great work. It's really repetitive. It's reporting. It's, the not all that not fun stuff. And so if I had an internship where I was seeing another side of it. And so that was like oh shoot, did I do the right thing? And
Uh-huh.
it's what I want to do. And so I was like, why am I doing this? And everybody would say, get your agency experience and then move on. And I had applied for a lot of client side roles at the time. And a lot of them do want to see agency experience to have that well-rounded marketer, come into their organization. And so I think it taught me a lot about grit and resilience and the inner workings. Understanding how something works on the back end is always going to do you a service in the long run. And you see a lot of CEOs. I think the Nike CEO is one of them who came up, through the ranks. And a lot of the people even in Verizon who have been there for 20 plus years have worked on the front lines
Yeah.
in sales, or they're working in the stores. And I think that gives you an edge that long term can only service your career. But when you're 23 and it's not fun and that you're doing all the reporting until 10 o'clock at night, you don't see the purpose. And so, yeah, I kind of wish I had gone back and been like, Sarah, this is amazing for you long term. But that's what I usually will tell folks out of college if I'm mentoring.
Yeah.
Go get your experience at an agency, work on some cool brands, do some cool stuff, figure out how it works. It's gonna be a grit, it's gonna be a grind, but do it. So
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. And I'm sorry, are you hearing my dog bark in the background?
no,
Oh my gosh. Someone came to the door, and of course I'm like, stop, stop. He has
it was
stopped now.
inevitable. It was inevitable.
It was inevitable. That's, as we said, this is what the realities of doing things at home. No, well, you sort of said when you look back, if you could say to younger Sarah, dive in and, enjoy it. Go even younger Sarah, like, like maybe preteen Sarah. Like, what do you wish you knew then that you know now, or that you would want to advise her?
I think stop trying to prove yourself so much, and the right people will recognize you for, without having you burn yourself to do it. Do good work, show up. And yeah, you don't need to prove yourself because your work tells the story. And that's what I'd tell her. Follow
Yeah,
your passion.
that's good advice. Okay, so I'm curious, is there something, maybe a small thing, could be inconsequential, something that you just do, a talent that you may have that most people don't know about?
A talent. Oh my gosh. No, probably not. I would say that I was really into sports in high school and I was on a state championship tennis team. So that used to be a really strong talent of mine. But other than that, yeah, I like all of the traditional things.
Okay,
I'm
that's good.
competitive coming
Well,
from sports, so
I think, with given your career, that might be kind of a given. Like, you have to be kind of a little competitive to it. All right, so on that note, what's your guilty pleasure?
reality TV, 100%. I don't know why other people fighting in reality TV allows me to unwind at night, but there's something about it that just, I don't know what it is, but it's very relaxing to me.
Well, we got to tell us which ones.
I love all the housewives. Recently we just, finished the newer Real Housewives of New York, and I love the new cast and loved the new season. So yeah.
Housewives. All right. So is New York the favorite of them all, or
Yeah,
doesn't
New
matter?
York is a favorite. And I also like the other dating shows. So I love Love is Blind, Love Island, all of those too. So
How about,
yeah. It's a guilty.
isn't there Lock Up Love or Love Love in Lock Up or something like that?
I haven't seen Love and Lockup, but I should test that one out.
Yeah, we were joking about it. I mentioned because this was, I mean, it's horrible when the insurance executive had been shot and they kept showing the man's face. Everyone was going around saying how handsome he is and how handsome he is. And so, and then like the thing is that's, we're like, okay, he's gonna be on Love Lockup, whatever, Love and Love, whatever the show is. Anyway, it's not something to joke about, but it was just, but that's how it shows you how much these reality shows, like this was a group of people I never would even thought knew about this show. Never mind everyone is. So I think it's a lot of people's guilty pleasure.
Yes, yes, for sure.
So that's great. So all right, we've got another campaign for Total Wireless, and it's called Fact Them. So it's basically you're pointing out facts about the competition.
Mhm.
So I want to do Fact Sarah. Okay.
Okay.
So it's going to be rapid fire. So, all right. So the first one is okay. Last book you read,
Black Onyx.
Black Onyx. Okay. What is about?
It's one of those like the fantasy. I got into book talk over maternity leave with my son and of all of the like romantasy, like the Sarah J. Maas like world.
Huh?
So I guess that's another one of my guilty pleasures, but it's part of that whole world.
Okay. Got it. All right. An ad campaign you wish you thought of.
I love the farmer's dog, which I don't think you could really replicate with telco. Maybe you can, but they make me cry every time. And I love them. I love what they do.
Okay. What's the last show you streamed? Or
American
not
Primeval.
binged. That would be
Yeah.
my, okay. So is both? Is that the same answer?
No, American Primeval on Netflix was the recent one. Yeah.
Okay. Do you binge watch? Are you a binger?
Yes. I have to once I start something, I'm pretty intense. So I go all in until I finish it. Whether it be a book, I'll stay up for like 24 hours reading. I go all in on stuff. So that's something that I do.
Okay. Are you a TikToker personally?
No, I am not a TikToker personally.
Okay. And last one. So we know you have two sons, or a son and a daughter, or
Son and a daughter, yes.
son and a daughter. Okay. So the daughter is older, younger?
Yep. My daughter Camille is 2.5, and my son Charlie is 1.
Okay. So they come to you. We want a pet. What's the first pet?
Dog, 100%. I have a dog, but I would get another one. I would love a kitten. Um, I think we'll have all sorts of pets in here. I love animals. My husband will probably take care of them all. He'll kill me for saying that, but yeah, if they come to me and they want a pet in a couple years, we're going to get one.
Okay. What's your dog now?
She's a golden retriever,
Oh, very cute. What's her name?
McKenna.
McKenna. Okay. I'm a dog, as is noted with my dog barking in the background. I'm a dog person as well, but all pets. Okay. So we all have big goals. We talk, things that we want to do. We have maybe our 5-year plans, our 10-year plans, but what's your day-to-day plan? What's your goal?
Obviously, I think for a lot of parents can relate to this is just making it to bedtime. But, my biggest win out of that is my daughter and she won't let anyone else put her to bed. And so I always put her to bed. And usually right before she goes to bed, after we've read books, we'll just cuddle and we'll talk. And we always talk about our days. And it's really the cutest thing that she does, I think. But sometimes daycare will tell me, Camille had a really hard day today, a lot of big feelings. And, we'll talk about that a little bit of like how tomorrow is a new day and whatever. It's really basic, right? She's only 2. So we're not talking about big stuff, but sometimes it's me. that, brings a difficult day. Maybe Camille had a great day, but I will tell her, I'll say, maybe I was really frustrated at bath time, or maybe, mommy was on her phone answering work emails when I should have sat down with you and played. And so it's bringing those discussions, and it's always my win of the day, because it's like, she's growing out of it because she's talking about it, but she's also seeing mom, and it allows me for reflection. And sometimes explaining stuff to a 2-year-old allows you to put everything in perspective. And so I encourage everybody to explain things in your feelings and your emotions and how you showed up like you were talking to a 2-year-old, because it might give you a new perspective. And that is my favorite part of the day.
That sounds so nice. And it probably for your daughter, and as a 2-year-old, maybe she doesn't appreciate as much, but maybe she is. And she's seeing how you're feeling, seeing how you're having bad days, good days, happy, whatever, and experiencing those with you. For her, especially as a little girl, knowing she can continue to grow up and feel that way, and it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I hope I continue that forever. That's my day-to-day plan, my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan. I hope her and I, have those conversations forever, because they're so important and they go both ways. So,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
that's really wonderful. Okay, so just final question. Also going back to your LinkedIn post, that initial one that we talked about early on.
Mhm.
You also went on to write, it's not easy, but it's everything. And
Yeah.
just like with every new chapter, I know this is only the beginning of what's to come for both my kids and me. So talk about what's to come. I mean, I know we talked about the daily win, and I'm not, again, I'm not looking for your 10-year plan, but just what's that next chapter for you and your kids, and just what do you see?
I think it's about embracing the chaos and showing them what it means in today's day and age to have a mom with a career. And a mom with a career in 2025 looks different than a mom with a career in 1990. And I want to be an example to them and my own community as someone who is showing up in a more vulnerable way, and it talks about the challenges and is real. And so I think there's that element, is that, I'm going to continue to grow in my career. I want them to learn from me, and I want to keep learning from them, because that leaning into the chaos, how you show up, patience, vulnerability, those are things that I think.
Um, that's awesome. I think that's so wonderful, and that's such a good plan. And Sarah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending the time, and it was so nice getting to know this side of you.
You too, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching. And as I always say, if you have a woman marketer who you want me to sort of pull back the curtain on, please let me know who, and I will do my best to get her. So thanks for watching, and thanks again, Sarah.
Thank you.